Can you beat Watch Dogs without shooting? Probably not, but I love this game so much that it's certainly worth trying. G'day chaps, 'tis I, ClownPuncher 139. Watch Dogs is the best GTA clone out there because of its signature feature, hacking. So today, I'm going to be using nothing but Aiden's phone to stop Damien Brinks and move on from the death of a 6-year-old girl. That got dark really fast, but that's the nature of this game. The rules are as simple as they could be. At no point in Aiden's quest am I allowed to shoot a bullet out of a gun. Everything else, including melee, explosives, and of course hacking, are fair game. Yes, explosives are allowed, because despite being traditional weapons, the run would be really friggin' hard and not fun if I didn't include them. So, let's see if Jordy was right to throw away those bullets and get right into the challenge. Our quest begins with a gunshot. Fission mailed. No, not really. The gun is empty because Jordy knew we'd kill Maurice if given the choice. In fact, we have no bullets for this entire first level, so shooting is already out of the question. This level is also exactly why I didn't even bother thinking of doing a no hacking run, so if you're about to suggest that in the comments, don't. It will be very boring and I won't do it. Anyway, Bottom of the 8th is completely unchanged from a normal playthrough and gives us a pretty good idea of what missions going forward are going to be like. I have a pretty of a bad getaway from the cops, but I didn't shoot anyone, so it really doesn't matter. Big Brother is incredibly easy as I get a lucky quick takedown on the crank collar, then just hit him with my car for an easy win. Backstage Pass is similarly easy as I just use the cameras to get the access code and get into the mainframe. I don't even have to enter the compound, it's that easy. After whacking a fixer in the face, Backseat Driver plays out the same as ever. Just stealthily drive around until you reach the drop-off point. Easy stuff. Open Your Whirl is where things start to become challenging. We have to infiltrate this plaza through the underground garage, then actually make our way through the plaza to a terminal and escape without being seen. It wasn't easy, but certainly fun to figure out. I start by knocking this guy out at the entrance, then try attracting these guys over to this car. My hope was to use this electric box, but I didn't realize it was much farther than I anticipated, so I didn't actually explode this guy. As he walked back to his post, he saw the guy I took out, so now they're alerted to my presence. And I missed hacking the box as he passed it, so I couldn't blow him up. I distracted this guy with the forklift and started making my way further in. Then I tripped this alarm to try to get this guy away from the door, but he didn't move, and the rest of them started seeing me. I popped this protector up to get this guy distracted, but the guy guarding the door came down and spotted me. Unfortunately, I was just a bit too slow, and he alerted his buddies. So I took him down and hid behind this little barrier, trying to come up with a plan. Fortunately, before this mission, I had purchased the grenade crafting ability, so I wasn't going to be left completely defenseless against these guys. Unfortunately, I only had 2 chemical compounds, so I could only make 2 grenades. Fortunately, again, all the guys grouped up behind a single car, so I was able to throw a single grenade at them to take them all out. That just left 2 guys, one of whom I just ran up and meleeed down, getting way too close to death in the process. If he fired one more shot, I'd for sure be dead. His buddy just took a little bit of waiting, as he eventually made his way over to me so I could melee him down as well. But that's only the first half of this mission, and the second half is even harder. But I was actually able to get just about everything done from the cameras. I started by profiling everyone to find the security manager, giving me the codes in no time, then I just watched the guards patrol until I could blow them all up with environmental hazards. Eventually I'd used up all my hazards, so I left my hiding spot and started taking them down with melee. I got one with a lure, was able to sneak up behind another leaning on a rail, and got what I thought was the final guy in the control room. I was stupid enough to leave one guy standing while I went for the hack, and he eventually made it up into the room and killed me while I was uploading the virus. I'm a little ashamed of that death, but in the end it didn't really matter, because the escape sequence went off without a hitch. I just snuck behind some planters and made my way out of the building and escaped the police easily. A pretty fun mission, and a good showcase of what's coming up. Thanks for the Tip is similarly difficult, but is a great demonstration of how we handle shooting-oriented missions. First, I jump into the cameras and take down the snipers with the power boxes, which I can thankfully do because the drivers don't hit a transformer and knock out the power. I then let these guys approach so I can get them with another power box, but they're a bit too far apart, so I can't get them both, even with the residual blast. I hop back into the cameras and get a lay of the land and find one guy sitting on a blast box, so I blow him up. Another guy then approaches from the back alley and I blow him up with another boombox. I head down a level to get closer to the action, then disrupt this guy's comms and take him down while his buddy goes down the alley. Since I want to play it as safe as possible, I don't just run up on the guy and take my time hiding and sneaking up on him. He sees me as I leave cover and shoots me, but I take him down nonetheless. Then the escape is a little messy, but I'm still able to get away without any bullets being fired. And also, can I just say how much the music during this mission absolutely slaps? I seriously love this theme, and a lot of the music in this game for that matter. Not the Pizza Guy is another fun mission where we get some sniper assistance from Jordy. In fact, Jordy makes this entire mission a complete cakewalk, as we just need to slightly distract enemies and he'll take them down with no effort. Thankfully, I had a full stock of lures and plenty of environment hazards to take advantage of, so it was no problem. The infiltration is easy, the escape not quite as much. Mostly because there are a ton of enemies you don't know the location of and a helicopter blinding you with a spotlight. So I kinda just winged it and ran for my life. I took an escape I didn't even know about after meleeing down a few enemies and letting Jordy get a few guys away from me. Then just a car chase and I escaped with no shots fired. A wrench in the works is very easy as you can just take down Angelo with little more than your car and some hacks. It took me a little bit to escape as I went away from the city, so away from hackable objects. And Dressed in Peels plays just the same until the finale. The game gives you this incredibly powerful semi-automatic shotgun which it expects you to use to take out these corrupt cops. And there's a bunch of them in this very cramped room, some with semi-autos of their own. Thankfully, they are really friggin' dumb and don't really approach your position behind this dumpster very often. And if they do, it tends to be one at a time. So I would just wait for one guy to go off to this side, then run over to him and melee him down. I would get shot up a bit, but I'd survive and hide back behind the dumpster to heal up. It took a bit of doing, but I eventually got them all down without even dying and had to face the first enforcer. I thought I'd have to lure him over to this explosive box to take him down, so I did a lot of sneaking around hoping he'd eventually see me and get over here. However, I got bored of waiting, so I eventually snuck up on him and was actually able to take him down. I didn't yet have the enforcer melee takedown upgrade, so I was really confused. But I guess you can take them down if you do it sneakily. That, or the game is just being a little generous at this point, letting you take him down this way in case you run out of ammo or blow up the box without taking him down. Regardless, I still got him down and escaped the prison. After getting a mini heart attack from these guards who popped out this door immediately after I took the enforcer down and nearly killed me. Thanks, game. Now I just have to escape the cops, and I'm able to do that relatively easily, with the incredibly basic strategy of driving away. And that awesome mission concludes Act 1 without a single shot to Aiden's name. Act 2 begins with Hold On Kiddo, which is a pretty easy start. It plays out just like normally with a bunch of hacking to take out some cars, and that ease continues into the next CTOS center, which I was able to beat with exclusively hacking as well. I did have to go into the compound this time since some of the cameras were out of my reach, but I was able to get in and out without anyone seeing me. Then came Breakable Things, which wasn't quite as easy. I of course start by going into the cameras to get a lay of the land, and in the process take out an enforcer with a transformer explosion. But that sets off a really big explosion in the warehouse, alerting basically everyone in the facility. I do some more camera surfing before eventually finding the security chief and getting the codes. I then leave the cameras and enter through the back door. I take this guy out on my way in, and am able to make it to the office without being seen at all. I hack the computer to scare Ray's scene away, blow up this enforcer on my way out, and chase him down. I get a very lucky early takedown with a steam pipe and don't have to worry about him calling backup. And now we come to Collateral, where our run sadly comes to an end. After Aiden blows up his apartment, Clara gets held at gunpoint by a fixer. Control is completely torn away as we're thrown into focus mode and can't even put down our gun. I even exited the mission to do some side stuff for some more experience to get a useful upgrade, IED crafting. I got it, made some bombs, and threw one outside the room where the enemy spawns, but the bomb despawns before you get the chance to blow it up, so all that time was completely wasted. Unfortunately, there is no way to take this enemy down other than shooting him, which is really unfortunate given what you'll see as this video goes on. But that unfortunately put a shot into this run, meaning our mission has failed. But I wasn't going to stop playing the game because I had to shoot someone. Aiden doesn't look back, so neither will I. I'm going to finish this run no matter how many shots I actually have to take. I guess that means I'll also be scraping a few bucks out of my budget for bullets, but whatever. This mission is still far from over, and by God was I happy I got those IEDs. We have to kill a ton of fixers and escort Clara to her car without her getting shot up in the process. I died quite a few times trying to beat this mission, but this was my winning run. I start by running up on the enemies and throwing some bombs to take out everyone in my path. The biggest threat is the snipers by the motel sign, so I just get close enough to throw bombs up at them. Right after I take them out, more guys arrive in a car, but I can distract them with a grenade before activating their own grenades to blow up. Another car then arrives, but I can throw another grenade to take them all out. But now we get to the really tough part, the other snipers. These guys are just barely out of range of my throws, meaning I can't take them down. Yes, I know in hindsight I could have just taken the stairs to the roof, but in the moment I didn't even know these stairs existed. It had been years since I last played this game. Anyway, I can't take all these guys down with my explosives, but I just so happen to know someone with a gun who can. I just have to occasionally pop up to draw the sniper's scope, and Clara can slowly pick them off with her pistol. It takes a bit of waiting, but Clara eventually takes down the remaining snipers and kinda breaks the game in the process. For some reason, this makes it so she won't move, and this final car off in the distance won't reach the motel. Thankfully, I can reach the car with my bombs, being careful to stay in the mission bounds and blow it up to fix the mission. More enemies now spawn, and I can take out this car with an IED. Unfortunately, most of the enemies survive, and one of the guys almost takes me out alone, but I can melee him down. I set off one of his buddy's explosives and take down the other with a melee hit. I throw my last IED into this horde of enemies and take all of them out, allowing Clara to escape and win the mission. That was honestly really close. I used up all my IEDs and only had 2 grenades left with no more crafting materials for either. But I was able to complete the mission, unfortunately with a single shot to her name. But as you'll soon see, it actually doesn't get worse from here. One foot in the grave was perfectly easy, as you can't even shoot Tobias to begin with. A blank spot there-ish doesn't require bullets, as it's just a long puzzle section. And the ward C2S station was pretty easy like the ones before, but I did actually have to go in and kill some guards this time. I really just hung out on the roof and threw grenades down at them until they all died. Eventually I was left just one and meleeed him down to unlock the station. Jury-rigged is quite a bit harder, as it's the first time we infiltrate Rossi Fremont. I'm able to sneak my way in on the far left side to get the first panel after silently taking this guy out. I'm a little worried about his buddy, but he actually comes right to me after seeing his buddy's body, and I can take him out silently too. I'm then able to sneak my way to the center panel, barely avoiding the detection of the snipers. I'm thankfully given the option to distract this guy, so I take him down, accidentally getting right in his face as I do so, which, despite not actually calling anything out, alerts everyone to my presence. I get the second box, but now everyone knows I'm here, so I have to do some work. I throw a grenade into this group and actually get all 3 guys at once, so that was lucky. One of these guys gets close enough to this transformer for me to blow him up, just leaving me with one guy and the snipers who I can't get. He keeps avoiding all my grenades, so I just opt to run for the control box and wing it. I am able to get it and activate the checkpoint, but that does eventually lead to my death. But the checkpoint removes those pesky snipers, so I'm not complaining. There are so many guys in this area, but somehow literally none of my grenades connect. I'm able to snatch a chemical component through a wall, so that's nice, I guess. Eventually I start whittling their numbers down with some bombs, but soon enough I run low and have to resort to melee. I am able to get them all down and complete the mission after a pretty easy car escape. Grandma's Bulldog is just a camera ride through Rossi Fremont, so there's nothing of interest there, and Not a Job for Tyrone is somewhat easy. You just have to follow Bedbug for a little bit, then can use the cameras for the rest of the way. After Bedbug runs away, it's much easier to just get Rabbit shot than go about guiding him. The enemies will chase after Rabbit after he gets seen, leaving the area wide open for you to go get his phone. Uninvited is pretty easy since you get a large stock of bombs from Jordy. I set a few traps, then just hung out on this crate and threw grenades and IEDs down to take out the rest. They never even saw me, and I was able to go take the driver down right after. Breadcrumbs was much more difficult than I was expecting. I took a few deaths while trying to go in stealthily and ultimately resorted to just blowing everyone up. Most enemies are paired up, so I couldn't really get any alone for takedowns. Thankfully, I had a healthy supply of bombs at the ready to take all them out. And for the last few, I just took them down with melee. The Mad Mile CTOS station was very easy, if not a little time consuming, as I was just able to ride the cameras the whole way. I did end up going inside since I didn't yet find the camera path I needed to take, but I was able to escape unseen and move on. Stare into the Abyss was pretty easy, as I just had to activate one of the henchman's explosives to make Crispin start driving away instantly. Then I just got into a car to chase him down, used some jam comms to stop him from calling him back up, and took him down to some hacking. After thankfully skipping the Gentleman's Club scene, we come to A Risky Bid, a very difficult but incredibly fun mission. No, it's not because of all the naked women. Get your heads out of the gutter. And don't think I'm showing the sauce either. You'll just have to play the game yourself. And I don't want to get age restricted. The beginning plays out as normal, as we have to take these guys down stealthily regardless of if we wanted to or not. Then I make it upstairs and get all my weapons that I'll never use back, and all my explosives as well. This outside section took quite a few tries to get down, but the winning run is incredibly satisfying. I of course start by riding the cameras to get a good lay of the land, meanwhile blowing this guy up with a power box, getting his buddy with some of the stray explosives. I followed that up by blowing this guy up and toggling some protectors to get on their nerves. Eventually I got this guy on the walkway with another explosion, and got this little group by detonating this guy's grenades. Then I finally leave the cameras to make my way up onto the walkway, blowing this guy up with his own grenades in the process. I wait for a bit for these guys to move to another environment hazard, but they never do, so I end up taking this guy down and unfortunately getting the attention of the pseudo-sniper. I'm able to quickly chuck and detonate an IED to take him down, then jump down and take out this last guy with a melee hit. I very nearly died to the enforcer that spawns when I reach the checkpoint, but I'm able to take cover and blow him up with a transformer. Don't get comfortable though, because we're only halfway done with this mission. The next area is even bigger with twice the number of enemies, but I was able to get through without even being seen. I start by taking out the enforcer by dropping a shipping crate on him. Ouch. Then I do a bit of sneaking and head inside this building to take out a sniper and gain the high ground. I waited for a clean opening and tried to lure this enforcer into this other crate to take him down, but I guess enforcers don't listen to lures. The more you know. But after a lot of sneaking, I can get behind this sniper and take him down before he can alert the others. I take this guy down to clear the path a bit, and am literally a pixel away from being seen as I do so. But this thankfully gets the enforcer to come upstairs, and I can sneak by him by dropping down and escape the complex. There's one more enforcer outside that gave me a heart attack, but by now I had purchased the enforcer takedown upgrade, so I was guaranteed to get him, especially after hacking his comms. I can then get away on a bike and complete the mission, one of the absolute best so far. But from one difficult mission to another, we now reach Role Model. But just like the one before, this was an incredibly fun mission to figure out. There's a lot of enemies, a good majority of which I can't even see from the cameras. So it took a lot of experimenting to find the run. Initially I tried going in from this side, since that's how I normally play the mission, but that failed multiple times, so I ultimately decided to go in from this angle. I start by attracting one of these guys to the transformer and blow him up, keeping his buddy distracted long enough for me to sneak up behind him with a melee. Some guys saw their bodies and made their way over, so I threw another lure toward this junction box, but nobody was close enough. Eventually this guy made it over, and I got him with a takedown. Just in time too, as someone got pretty close, and I was able to blow him up with a transformer as I took cover. I threw another lure as guys made it over, and blew this guy up, then took down one of his buddies with a frag. While this guy started regrouping, I made my way around the building, then threw a lure into the center, which allowed me to blow up this guy. I didn't even need a lure to blow up this guy, but unfortunately his buddy threw his grenades before they could blow him up. But I just ran up and meleeed him and his buddy down, which activated Phase 2. Which only consists of 2 cars, which I can blow up with steam pipes. One guy somehow survived, but I just threw an IED down to blow him up. That allowed me to save Jax, and I could beat the mission without a single shot and actually very few explosives on my end. Planting a bug was almost worry-free, except for the fact that I had to take out 5 enemies before guiding Bedbug. I thought I could just sneak by them, but they saw me, so I had to blow them all up. Thankfully it was pretty easy, and I was able to guide Bedbug without any worries. Which then leads to Way Off the Grid, which was somewhat easy. You have to take down a gang of fixers to track Raymond Kenny, but they have a surprisingly large force ready to stop you. For the first wave already at the location, I was able to get them all with takedowns never being seen. The second wave, where you have to stand your ground, was a bit more difficult. Not only do they have really powerful weapons, but using just one environmental hack basically destroys them all, which means I have to resort to my own bombs. What's worse is that it's an auto-scroller, so infinite enemies spawn until the bar is full. Thankfully, I was able to get everyone down without a death, and the fire truck chase played out as normal. Before we can track down Kenny, we have to activate the Pawnee CTOS station, and it was pretty easy. Unfortunately, I can't just ride the cameras, and I had to go in and take everyone out again. But it wasn't too hard to do so. I can take one guy down with melee for a good hiding spot, then blow this guy up with a lure to a junction box. Then I ride the cameras for a bit before getting an incredible 4 guys down with a single grenade hack. Then I blew up another 2 with another grenade hack, then took down the last 2 with melee. Then I can hack the station, and that concludes Act 2. We're a little more than halfway there. By God, I've been spoiled by the shorter challenges of the Arkham games. Act 3 begins with a wild goose chase and hope is a sad thing. Absolutely no way to shoot anyone here except all the shots we take with T-Bone in hopes we can find Kenny. But those don't count. Speaking of Kenny, here he is, and now where's Errand Boy? Our first errand is in Let's Play Make a Deal, where we must retrieve Ray's truck from the Pawnee militia. For some reason, it took me a stupid number of tries, all because of this stupid sniper seeing me despite sneaking my way up the water tower. But when I eventually got a run where I didn't get seen by him, I was able to get the truck easily. I start by blowing up this guy's grenades, then hiding in this area and just spamming my explosives to win. It took a little while and I wasted a lot of bombs, but I was able to get them all down just leaving the sniper. But I climbed his building, distracted him, and took him down with melee. But that's not the end. I still had to escape these fixers in T-Bone's truck. He may have set up a trap, but it's ultimately pretty useless. I don't think it even took down a single enemy. So I have to blow everyone up with IEDs and grenades. Thankfully I didn't die and got them all first try. A Pit of Paranoia is already one of the most infuriating missions for me to complete in a regular playthrough of this game. So this challenge just made me hate it even more. And the run that ultimately won it for me was really just a matter of luck. But frankly, I don't care. If I have to cheese this mission, I'll do it, goddammit. This mission sucks! I start by blowing this guy up, then running all the way up to the pair of enforcers. I guess someone found the guy's body because literally everyone started making their way over to him. Once the enforcers are out of sight, the security chief starts walking back alone for some reason, and I can take him down and hack his phone. I have no idea how the AI works in this mission, and it took like half an hour to actually win, but I was able to do it, so I really don't care. Screw this mission and the computer it hacked in on. Unstoppable Force was thankfully easy afterwards, as I literally just played it exactly the same as I would in a regular playthrough. I just threw some bombs on the road and blew up the trucks and the militia inside. Glad this was easy after the hell that came before. But that does lead us to The Future is in Bloom, which was a simply ridiculous mission. Somehow I got literally every single enemy down with melee hits without being seen. It took a decent amount of time, but it was so satisfying to reach that panel with every enemy down completely silently. It may have taken over 10 minutes, but it was well worth it. Oh, and there's a quick escape sequence, but I didn't get seen, so it doesn't matter. And the end of that mission leads directly into For the Portfolio, which might have been my favorite mission for this challenge. It's already one of the best missions in the game, and this challenge just made me love it even more. Normally you're just going ham on the enemies with your most powerful guns and T-Bone's traps, but in this challenge your guns are all gone, so you have to make the most of the traps, and it was so much fun. The start of the mission plays out as a stealth section, so I didn't want to use any of the traps quite yet, especially because most of them have one-time use explosives surrounding them, which make killing easier. I did end up using the electric spider trap to take out a pair of guys, then can pick off a few more with grenades while sneaking up on the sniper. I take him out, then sneak up on the last two guys and melee them down too. After regrouping with T-Bone, I take out two guys with another spider trap and get the last guy with melee. And now we get to rock out to Jesus Built My Hot Rod, yes, that's actually the name of the song, and just massacre every militia member that dares enter this here junkyard. Unfortunately, the shooting traps are dang near useless, but the spiders are absolutely invaluable. I generally just threw grenades whenever traps weren't doing the trick until a freaking enforcer made his way up to the platform to me and Ray, almost killing me before I could take him down with melee. But for the most part, I would just run around the platform, throwing nades, activating traps, and blowing up their own equipment. But again, the spider traps were by far the best, always taking down at least one enemy. And the last guy left actually almost killed me. I hacked his grenades, but RNG decided that they would take the longest time to explode, so he had enough time to throw them away, and he just so happened to throw it right up to me. Thankfully, before this point in the story, I had bought the explosive resistance upgrade, and ran just far enough away to survive. And I had thrown a grenade of my own down to him while I ran, so I took him out. But don't go away just yet, that's just the first wave. Thankfully, the first car of the second wave drove right under the spider, giving me a perfectly free takedown, and the second wave all grouped up near this shooter and the other spider, letting me take them down almost instantly. The final wave out back unfortunately doesn't have any spider traps, only useless shooters. I probably got one guy with these traps and got the rest with my hefty supply of explosives. It took a bit of time, but I eventually got everyone except the sniper, who I just climbed the ladder to take down with melee. Thankfully, the game didn't break, and I could blow up T-Bone's hideout and finish the mission. Incredibly fun, and I didn't even require a single bullet. I was honestly really scared of by any means necessary. The mission itself isn't that hard, but the finale absolutely is. I'll get there in a second. First, let's actually get inside Rossi Fremont. We have Jordy providing sniper support again, but I think he's broken because he literally didn't shoot a single enemy for me. So I end up just sneaking my way along the perimeter until I reach the door. And thankfully, no one notices me while I wait for Ray and Clara to open it. And now we have the long trek through Rossi Fremont, which was quite difficult given the confined space. For the first room, I can blow up this guy in the upper level with a junction box, then throw a grenade into the elevator to take all 3 of these guys down at once. I don't even bother with this last guy and just make a break for the elevator. Next level, I can blow this guy up after disrupting his comms, then blow these guys up with another junction box. Next 2 I get with a single grenade, then we come to the arcade. This room just has a stupid enforcer right in the middle of the room who is always shooting and is nowhere near an environment hazard. I was able to get past him by throwing some mines in the corner to stop anyone from interrupting me, then taking him down when he finally decides to actually move. I throw another grenade in the corner just to make sure nobody stops me from meleeing him down. Then there's just one more guy in the corner who I take down as well. This next hallway has some good environmental hazards, but I sadly waste them a bit too early and have to resort to explosives again. I really don't want to use them if I don't have to because I need as many as possible against Iraq. But I am able to get them down, and I just have to worry about using too many bombs in the next room with very few junction boxes for me to take advantage of. But I am able to get them all down, and can move to Iraq's room to enter the boss fight. My heart was genuinely racing, because every time I failed this section would mean a 1.5-minute wait to try again. I set all my bombs out across the field, then just hoped for the best. The first wave went down pretty easily, though I was incredibly cautious and literally didn't move from behind this cover. The second wave was just a single enforcer, and my bombs happened to be placed perfectly to combo him down. Then came Iraq himself, who had me terrified. I knew he took more than regular enforcers, and the guy before took 2 bombs to take out. Thankfully, he walked right out into the open, so I could throw a bomb at him to knock him down, then followed up with 2 more for the kill. I was so relieved to see him go down, you have no idea. But that completes the mission and the third act. Just 1 more to go. Act 4 begins with a really easy hacking game and someone's knocking, though it does set up something pretty difficult for later on, so I'm not too excited. But we won't get to it now, instead we'll go confront Damien at In Plain Sight, which was also really easy as we just chase down the news van until we make it crash, run the operator over since shooting him is illegal, and escape the cops unscathed. But that leads us to the Rat's Lair, another mission I was dreading since I'd have to do it legitimately. T-Bone gets inside default space and alerts his army of fixers, which leads us into a guiding minigame. Now, I've never done this part of the mission as intended. I'd always go into the plaza and kill all the fixers myself since I hate doing the guiding. But for the sake of this challenge, I didn't just run in with explosives, and instead tried to guide Ray to safety. And it actually went off without a hitch. I actually got it first try in just a few minutes, which relieved me to no end. 1 car escape sequence later, and the mission was done. After Ray finds one other great thing in Default's lair.
Oh, and I found a 6 gig USB stick full of lesbian porn. You want that too?
Yes!
But that leads to the default condition, which actually surprised me with its later difficulty.
What the fuck am I looking at?
Getting into the party and up to default is easy, but there was a shootout I completely forgot about after chasing him. Thankfully, the time limit to chase him isn't present here, so I can take all the time I want killing these guys. I blow up these guys with a grenade, then use the camera to blow this guy up with a junction box. I disrupted this guy's comms to take him down with melee, then ignored the snipers to get around his buddy. I ignored the snipers the rest of the way, and was able to get to the ground and chase default. The car chase took a while, but didn't require me to shoot at all, so it all went well. Little Sister is the other big guiding mission I normally cheese, but was actually a lot easier than I was expecting. I took a good while getting acquainted with the area, making sure I knew where every enemy was located before actually moving Nikki. And I started blowing this enforcer up by luring him over with the forklift. That attracted all the guys on the boat, and I distracted them again by disrupting one of their comms while I moved Nikki onto the boat. And just as the guys were returning to the boat, I moved her off and behind these pallets. I distracted this guy with a lift and moved her to the car, winning the level in less than a minute. Sure, it took multiple tries, but I got it done, didn't I? And of course the next mission, Ghost of the Past, is just driving, so nothing to note there. And we have reached the finale of Act 4 with no turning back, and what a finale it is. We have to infiltrate this hotel armed to the teeth with guards, and I try to start by being stealthy. I take a few guys down no problem, but eventually get seen and have to resort to explosives. I miss so many though, and begin to run low. I decide screw it and just run to the elevator where I can take the guy inside down with melee and just leave everyone else in the lobby. Then I'm held at gunpoint and have to do some fancy escape moves. Once you press B here, Aiden takes control away and knocks one guy down with melee, but shoots the other in the face. I'm not counting this as a shot since it's out of my control and Aiden's gun isn't missing a bullet when he regained control anyway. It's like the church glide back during Arkham City without gliding. It's out of my control, so it doesn't count. But then, when we do regain control, we're thrown into a similar situation as that in Collateral. We're stuck in focus mode with no way to turn it off for some reason. Thankfully, the game turns it off for me after a long enough period of inactivity. Unfortunately, I can't put my gun down, so I can't take cover. But I can still throw explosives actually, which I use to take down this gunman. Ignore this shot here please, I was meaning to run but couldn't, and when I reloaded the save the guy was already dead, so I couldn't just redo it. It didn't even hit him, so it doesn't matter, just don't get on my case about it. Please and thank you. Then we get to the big shootout on the balcony. It takes a little while, but I am able to get everyone down with my explosives. I have to be really careful here as there are snipers constantly watching me, so I have to stay in constant cover and slowly make my way towards them since Aiden hasn't really been throwing many baseballs in his life. When the helicopter spawns, I'm lucky that I purchased the helicopter disabling upgrades, so I didn't have to worry about that sniper too much. By the time I reached the final guys, I was almost always on 1 HP, so I played it extremely carefully and just spammed explosives at the remaining guys, not even bothering with melee. Then I just bolted for the inside since I didn't have enough batteries to disable the helicopter again, and I could finally confront Lucky Quinn. I kill him without bullets and can escape the hotel the same way I always do. Don't bother killing any cops and just run for the boathouse for a free escape onto the water. But we are not done yet, as we've still got to rush to the cemetery to save Clara. At this point, I was running pretty low on supplies, but it was also midnight when I was recording, so I wanted to get through this as fast as possible, and didn't bother restocking at a pawn shop because none were in my path. I took what I had and hoped I wouldn't have to shoot, knowing I would be put in focus again as soon as Clara was shot. Thankfully, Aiden seems to have taken lessons from Doom Guy and doesn't even flinch while being shot by these guys while I throw a few grenades in their direction. After focus ends, I'm still stuck with my gun out and get worried because I can't take cover. But I just aim down the sights and can put my gun away right after and resume my explosive rampage. There weren't as many guys as I was expecting, so I just spammed IEDs until all but one were dead, and I took him down with melee. Easy stuff for the final mission, I will not lie. And all that leads us into the only mission of Act 5. Sometimes you still lose. And the entire mission doesn't even have a gunfight to begin with. Sure, we get chased relentlessly by police, but we can take care of them with a few bombs whenever they surround us. It's surprisingly easy stuff despite how difficult this mission normally is. And of course I just lose the cops with some hacking, so there was nothing for me to worry about the entire mission. At least until we go confront Damien. He's waiting for us at an old lighthouse out in the Chicago Bay. We make our way up to the Widow's Walk to finally confront him, but Jordy has betrayed us. Now he's aiming a gun at our head, and we have to knock him over the edge to get our revenge. Aiden aims a gun right at Damien and expects me to pull the trigger. The game won't even let me experiment because it takes away all control before you climb the ladder, not even letting me throw an IED up onto the walk. So with a heavy heart, we have to shoot Damien in the head to finish the game. I was writing some of this script before actually recording the challenge, as I knew regardless that I'd have to shoot Damien here, and at the time I thought this would actually be the only shot I'd have to take. Then I was going to do some poetic thing where I'd quote Damien from this very mission, and it would have been really cool, but that damn shot in Collateral just had to ruin everything. Whatever, I'm still going to do it in the conclusion. Oh, but don't go yet, dear viewer, there's still one epilogue mission after the credits. After all this time, Aiden finally confronts Maurice again. We start the game aiming a gun at his head, and now we finish it. But even after skipping all the cutscenes, I can see the state Maurice is in, and it just wouldn't be justice to kill him outright. So I walk away and finish the game. So unfortunately, it is not possible to beat Watch Dogs without shooting. And wouldn't you know, the shot comes right at the very end of our quest. And it's quite poetic, as it's like Damien said.
You play a beautiful game, but sometimes you still lose.
Even after the long quest to keep Aiden's gun full, we need to fire a single shot into Damien's skull. Plus that one back in Collateral, but don't worry about it. Even with that depressing end to this challenge, I highly recommend everyone give it a shot. Aside from my more recent Arkham City challenges, it was the most fun I've had with a game in a while. It was incredibly fun to put this spin on one of the first games to get my favorite game title so many years ago. And with that in mind, do all the YouTube stuff because small subscriber counts, and I'll see you later, chaps.